Gosh, Brian, I had never seen that kind of money in my life, right? I mean, I was doing well at McAdam running that place or whatever, but I mean, that was such a pivotal, that changed my life.
Yeah. But at the same time, when people go, oh, the second time it's easy, bullshit. It's not. I mean, I had to work my ass off here again.
Yeah.
You had approached me and said, oh, got a young guy, ambitious, wanted to learn real estate. Can I go to lunch with you and pick your brain? I'm like, sure, and I've had people do that over the years, of course, and I'm thinking, oh God, this young guy, and you're like, where do I find properties? Well, here's one. And thinking, there's no way in hell he's going to get it, So I just threw you one, and you came back, and you're like, okay, I got it. And you said, what price? I told you the price. You came back, and go, okay, we got it. What do we do? And I was like, holy shit, okay. And we kind of went from there, and that was the thing that got my attention. Had you not got that, yeah. And then
I remember even saying, I think at one point you even said, I was thinking about buying that for myself.
Yeah.
Right. Or something.
Right.
Yeah. So then we partnered up, right? You saw whatever, young, eager, young buck, right? Wet behind the ears. And I remember the reason I called you wanting to pick your brain, go to lunch, it's because you were the big name in the town we lived in, right? Your name was on freaking bus benches, and I mean, everybody knew who you were. And so it's like, well, that's the guy I want to pick his brain, right?
Sure.
And I remember you told me about that lot and that piece of land and then I bought it. I remember calling you back, and that was kind of what kicked us off. And I remember just how quickly we scaled.
Well, Shadow Ridge was the big one, right?
Yeah. Quickly. And I remember you and I, because of your gifts versus my gifts, we accomplished a lot very quickly, which led to then the real estate company that became I think the fastest growing privately held company in the state or something. We were doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Right. But I remember how it was back in the day, we were called Pacific Landmark Development. Right. And I remember kind of the project that kind of kicked it all off was going and tying up that land that ended up being Shadow Ridge.
Right.
And the property owner connected us with Mel Fox, who kind of was a family friend. And we negotiated with Mel Fox, ended up getting that deal done. But then that's where it goes fuzzy for me, because I remember we didn't
have the money. Yeah, we didn't have the money, right? Even though I had huge numbers and stuff, it's not like I had a bunch of millions of dollars sitting there,
right.
Real estate's that way. And so I went to Greg Kubicek.
Yeah.
And we negotiated that deal at 65,000 an acre. And the reason why we were able to get it so cheap was it wasn't zoned and it was outside the city limits. But Gene Grant had told me, who was the mayor, hey, it's going to be zoned and it's going to get approved because we have a $13 million federal grant to put in 152nd and Misty Drive. And we have to approve it quickly or we'll lose that grant. So that was our shoe in there. Yeah. And we got Greg to close it, and he gave us $2 million. That was our seed money to go from there, which was a big hit.
So that's what I was trying to remember. Because I remember you signed, we had, what's his name? Greg's right-hand guy signed a basic 1-page agreement to pay us a certain dollar amount.
Right.
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 But then I remember right before we were supposed to get paid, Greg came and beat us up and renegotiated it.
Yeah, I forget.
But I don't remember.
Did he get us down or not?
I don't remember.
I don't remember that either. I don't even remember that part. Now that you say that.
But I was going through our paper. I don't even know how I have anything digital.
Yeah.
But I have written down here 50% at P-Plat, which equaled 3.2 million. But it's it's all over the place. But I do remember Greg leveraging us at the end, because
did he or did he try to?
I think we did it for less.
No, we did it for 2 million, but that was not at the end. That was way before. We thought we knew what we wanted, but he had to close it without approval or anything.
Yeah.
And so that was the risk he was taking.
Okay, so maybe he got us down to 2 million?
Yes. That's what it
because
was.
I have here 50% at P plat was 3,188,500. So maybe what he did is instead of paying us that 3 million, he paid us 2 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think he gave it to us not a preliminary plat approval. I think he gave it half of it before or something. I think we kind of negotiated that and said, okay, fine, but give us half now and half then, or we might have gotten all then.
Yeah.
We didn't wait for preliminary plat approval.
I know we didn't either.
Yeah.
Because I remember I kind of built a somewhat good relationship with Mel Fox.
Yeah.
But I can't remember. Did we assign the deal to Greg?
I don't think so. I think we ended up putting him as the buyer.
Okay.
It was a total one of these. I'm like, Cody, I trust him because
okay.
What else can we do? I said, what else can we possibly do? I don't.
So we plugged him in as the buyer, and I remember going to all the meetings at the city with Holt, trying to figure out 152nd and how that was all going to work and the whole due diligence.
Yeah.
So did he close on that deal prior to P-Plat?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so.
Okay.
Which they never do.
So we got 2 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Gosh, Brian, I had never seen that kind of money in my life, right? I mean, I was doing well at McAdam running that place or whatever, but I mean, that was such a pivotal, that changed my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's weird is, but at the same time, when people go, oh, the second time it's easy, bullshit. It's not. I mean, I had to work my ass off here again.
Yeah.
And people go, well, you make the context. Well, yeah, but you make the context, but some of your contexts go bad, right? Yeah. Some of those guys aren't successful now, and so they expire, or they made a mistake, or or you don't have a relationship with them anymore because they burned you. A lot of that stuff happens.
It's true.
But me keeping that relationship with Greg, when I first came back, he wanted me to sell him this property, and Chase was with me, my son. I said, Chase, I want you to listen to this phone call. I said, you're going to learn a valuable lesson here. My commission's $1,053,000. I don't have $200 in the bank, and I'm going to talk him out of buying this because it's not a good buy for him. And I talked Greg out of buying it. He goes, enough said, I'm not buying it. And I ended up getting that account back, right? And trust me, I wanted that freaking money, or needed that money, but I knew I had to do the right thing, and I think that's key to it. I think God gives you those temptations to see how you'll react. I really do. And Chase and I talk about it all the time. I said, Chase, I'm telling you, had I sold that piece, that $1 million would be gone. I said, I learned that at a young age. If I ever buy anything that was stolen, you'd either get lost or stolen. The thing I buy. And so, that relationship stayed good, but I came back and it was really interesting. Came back and started flipping properties like we used to, and I had a big hit. I sold Canby, made $1.5 million, but it just didn't work out. It just, I hired staff because you got to have staff. None of them produced. I was the only one producing anything, and I was supporting 10 people. Right. And so I burned through that money. I was like, oh God. So I said to Chase, I got to go back selling real estate. I can't focus on this development. I'm not cutting it, because there weren't the kind of buyers that when we were doing it, you had 40 or 50 guys that could buy 40, 50 lots. Right now you just have the big player. And so, Holt, then, I started focusing on their account, and I said, Greg, you've got to start building. You can't just sell lots, because you've got to be able to say to Horton and Lennar, if you don't pay my price, we're going to build it, And so I took over Oregon, and then Washington, he was only selling 7 houses a month. And I said, Greg, I can hit huge numbers there. I know I can. He said, Brian, but can you handle it all? And I said, Greg, I would never take it if I couldn't handle it. The first month I sold 66 houses, from 7 to 66. Wow. And I raised his prices. But that was God. I mean, that was just God, and good timing. And, and I was able to make it back. He paid me on average about $700,000 a month, for 4 years, and I remember him saying to me, Brian, I could hire 170 people and pay them $50,000. He said, but one thing they don't have that you have, and that's your energy and your luck, So,
wow.
But I fought with those guys through the process too, Tuttle, because I'd say these guys, the board of directors, I go, hey, one of you guys is a framer, another guy moved dirt for Lennar, one of you is an attorney, Greg, I told you the market was going to crash when it did. You said we had 3 years. Okay. And I'm telling you, I know this business, and your guys are making a huge mistake right now. And so everything I told them was going to happen has happened. And I have to remind Greg, when I told you, so what they did was they cut me back to the only houses I could sell were houses I had permits for, or was going to have permits within 2 weeks. And it cut me back to like 30 sales a month. I said, Greg, we have got to sell like we've been selling 90 houses a month, get all the, because every time we sign a deal, I got 15 to 20 grand non-refundable orders money. And he says, well, I'm worried about lumber price. I said, Greg, if lumber goes up, we got a $20,000 contingency, but if it goes up, what are you going to do? Quit building? No, we can't raise the prices anymore. We've already raised them 70%. So what's the difference, And so he listed these guys, they cut it back, and it costs us 160 cells, Jeez. And I kept telling these guys, we're not selling houses, you guys, we're selling money. You guys keep asking me who the buyer profile is. And I keep telling you, everybody's a buyer. Every single person that owns a house right now is a buyer, because they got 2 choices to make. They can say to their wife, honey, we can go get twice the house we're living in for the same payment, or we can stay here and have half the payment by refinance, right? Everybody's a buyer. And we're selling money, not houses. And then you and I've talked about this, and I tried to prep them now for 3 years. I said, you guys, we got to be prepared for when this market changes, and what's going to change. The rates are going to go up. People don't care what they pay for a house. They care what their payment is. They don't care what they pay for a house. And so we're going to be down to, when rates go up enough, the only people who are moving are people who are forced to move. That's divorcees and relocations, right?
Yeah.
And so architecturally speaking, we've got to come up with some designs like the car business does, that come up with new body style every 2 years, right? To have people emotionally justify moving. Otherwise, builder beige, 3 bedrooms, den, 2.5 baths, seen them all, And then the other thing I said is, every home we should build that has a den we should put a closet in, and then we should have a full bath downstairs, 100%.
Yeah.
Because there are 2 families are living in these houses now. And then I talked to them into building ADUs. It's funny because the company that bought us bought Woodside Homes, and they came in. We spent $2 million in our research, and where the market's headed when these rates go up is ADUs. Like, I put my hands in there and go, look, I told you guys that for 3 years.
Yeah.
But that was the frustrating part, because it really took a lot of my energy fighting with these guys. It was daily fighting with them.
Yeah.
But Greg,
I bet it was.
Well, the board of directors would go, oh, we got D'Ambrosio, because Greg would listen to everybody's side. It would always be everybody against me. And then Greg would choose my side. But in the meetings, he'd act like he's agreeing with them. And so that was a big deal. We just got D'Ambrosio, thinking I was cutting deals with Greg behind the scenes. But I mean, I was right,
Yeah. So, and I know they passed a new law up there recently, right? Where now you can build 2 dwellings per any lot, right?
Yeah. And I've looked at that, and this market.
Is anybody doing it?
Yeah, a couple guys are trying to do it, but I think it's great for rentals, but until these rates go back down to realistic rates, our population's growing here, but at poverty levels, and so people who bought it 2.75 and 3.3, they're never moving. And even and we're not going to have the foreclosures, and the reason being is, even divorce situation, and let's say the house is worth 400 and they paid 500, well, they're not going to sell it because they're going to be able to rent it for more. See, that's going to be the saving grace there, because rents are going to double. They really will. And then the economy in general has got so many issues, and then you go to the state of Oregon. I mean, the state of Oregon's done everything we can to kick every business out of here. We take places like Texas.
I'm going to stop the recording. But is there anything else you want to say about Shadow Ridge or our first?
The thing I'd say is, what I saw in you was, I've learned over the years that you hire or partner with somebody whose strengths are your weaknesses. And that's why, we were Kobe and Shaq, and it was fine. It was really finding the right person that I could mesh with too, because over the years I had, most analyticals don't want to work hard. Most of them don't. They're steady eddies, 9 to 5. They'll take a job, have their little salary, and they're not that They're really not that ambitious. Even the tech guys, when you look at the guys like Bill Gates and stuff, it's the people behind them that drove them to be who they are. It wasn't their ambition for money. It was their ambition just to create something,
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
If you got value out of this video, go ahead and subscribe now and hit the notification button so that you don't miss anything. Also, YouTube recommends that video for you.